So let's just run through this to make sure you understand. We've got a public function construct, so we've got a constructor here which is reading in some arguments from when we initiate our class. Then what we're doing is we're checking to see if this connect function returns a true value. Now we haven't done anything with the connect method yet, but when we do, if it returns a false value, we're going to say connection failed. Otherwise, if it returns a true value, we're going to say connected to DB host. So what we could say is, again, we could say if this connect DB host DB username DB password. So if this equals true, basically, because we don't have this exclamation mark here as our not, saying is it not true. So let's just test this out. Let's return true automatically in this connect function. So when we call the connect function or the connect method here and here, we're automatically returning true. So therefore we're going to say connected to, and it's going to successfully work. So at the moment, if we refresh our page, you'll see that there's nothing on there because we need to create a new instance of this connect, database connect class. So connection equals database connect, and remember we need to supply it with 3 arguments, which is the host, the username, and the password. So this actually at the moment isn't using the MySQL connect function to see if it's worked or not. We're just supplying through 3 arguments, and then we're automatically going to return connected to localhost because we're automatically returning true on this connect method. So let's refresh. You can see, oh no, database connect. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I've put connection equals database connect. We need connection equals new database connect, because now what PHP thinks I'm doing here is it thinks I'm calling a function when in fact it's not a function, it's a class or an object. So let's refresh. Connected to localhost. Okay, that's fine. We presume that would happen because we've automatically returned true here. Now let's try and automatically return false to see what happens. And you can see that it says connection failed. So we know that everything's working up until now. Now all we need to do is inside our public function connect, we need to, let's just get rid of that, inside our method connect, we need to do a MySQL connect, and we need to check if this has connected, and then we can return a specific value. So we just say if MySQL connect, we'll put a not in there, so if the connection is false, or if it hasn't worked, and we're supplying, remember, database host from the arguments up here, database username, again from the argument here, and then also DB password. So if that hasn't worked, bear in mind we automatically connect to our database because we supply this command, but this if statement's checking if it's not connected properly, then we return false. So hopefully now you can see it start coming together. Else, return true. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're connecting to our database. If it hasn't worked, we're returning false back to this construct here where we've made our check, and otherwise we're returning true back to not the construct but the check in here where we're using this connect. So now let's double check that. Let's refresh our page to see if we don't have any errors. Okay, everything looks okay. Let's create a new instance of our connect, and this will either work or not. So we can say connect equals database connect, and then we can put our arguments in here. Now just before that, in this construct, just above the if, I'm going to say echo attempting connection. Okay, so I'm writing attempting connection, and then what we'll either get is connection failed or connected to our server. So database connect, we need to specify the host, which is for me localhost, the username, which is root for me, and I don't have a password set, but let's just get rid of that for now and refresh and see what happens. Oh, again I've done the same thing and I haven't used my new keyword in there. Let's refresh, and you can see we've got attempting connection and then connection failed. So now let's try with the correct credentials. I'll type my my username in there. So this will successfully connect to my database. So let's check if it works. Okay, and it says connected to localhost. So with what we've learned already, and with using this constructor here, we've automatically taken in some arguments from when we create a new instance of our class. We've read these in, and we've used a function called connect, which has allowed us to connect to our database. Now, why is this useful? Why might this be useful in a real life situation? Because it's just simply an easier and tidier way to connect to your database and return errors. You can see that here we've got a really neat way to show that we've connected to our database. We don't always need to tell our users that we've connected to our database, but let's say for debugging purposes you wrote all your code like this. You're going to have detailed error information sent straight back to you without just using procedural code where you will maybe say or die, kill the page. Here we get specific information, and all we need to do is say connection equals new database connect, and we're basically done.